Yeah, let's start. Today we'll talk about Docker Compose. So this is small image. Yeah, maybe this one. So let's see what is Docker Compose. Well, yeah, first let's start. Why it's required? Let's say I got a scenario now. We have seen Docker network right yesterday, where we want to talk to multiple containers within the same host. Yeah, we can do that. So we got requirement that sorry, I have a tier 4 containers for my application which are required and they want to communicate together. So usually what I do, what as far as now, we'll create a network. Sorry, we'll create a network or we'll use the existing network and run the containers in the same bridge network, correct? So that they can able to communicate together. Usually what happens is for every application, general. So there will be architecture. Like one thing is UI, API, database. So this is called three-tier architecture. Usually, this is how any application architecture looks like, most commonly. So database is where you store everything, and API is the one which talks, which fetches the data, which talks to database, fetches the data, and store the data into the database. And what is UI? UI in the browser, when we hit something, it'll open something, right? It's you open anything, Google or something, you will see a page and whatever we are typing, whatever everything, you can see options, everything in the UI in the browser. So that's called UI, user interface. So whatever, like what happens is here, we open, let's say Gmail here as an example. You open Gmail, okay, Gmail will open. So that's UI. You enter your Gmail, ID and the password. Until that, it's UI. When you click on it, login, it'll load, right? It'll load and it'll take you to your Gmail account page, right? How it will take? It should validate the credentials, right? It should validate the credentials and it should allow you. Let's say if the password is wrong, it won't allow you, right? It will say password is incorrect. How it will know? Because until you're giving the credentials is UI part. Whatever the page you are seeing, everything. Once you click on the login, whatever the functionality is happening, that is API part. Because once you give your input, username and password, let's say, it is taking those details and going to database and hey, this user trying to log in, these are his credentials. Are these correct? And if they are correct, usually database store everything, right? If this is correct, database send the response back to AI and AI, sorry, API, sorry, not AI, API. So if they are correct, API validates it, okay, you can allow, you can log in. This functionality happens with API. UI is just you are seeing the user interface which you are using for anything. API, whatever the functionality is happening behind the UI is API. So let's say, let's go to YouTube. Let's go to here, yeah, let's say Google. This is UI, the page, whatever you're seeing is UI. And let's say I searched something, Docker Compose. It loaded some results. These are all API. The results are coming from API. Well, the functionality is coming from API. So for every application, there will be UI, API, and database. This has nothing to do with the Docker, but I'm just saying, this is how usually look like. This is called a three-tier architecture. Three-tier architecture. Usually, every application uses these components. That's why three-tier. So One, two, three components we have, right? That's why we call it three tier. There are applications for two tier also. It means there won't be any database, or usually we use database, there won't be any API directly. We also connect to database. That also is there. But very commonly, very common, this three tier architecture will be present in whatever the application you develop. Everywhere, I mean, it's just not like uh, it's common practice that to use these things for every application, whatever application you see. Maybe for some static applications will be there. Let's say you might have observed you open a page, the page won't change. There's nothing, no options inside the page. It just gives you content. That's it. Hmm, I don't know such pages, but usually they are called static pages. I know a website. Let's see. There. So static pages are like without database, nothing. Just UI will be there. When they're written some code and they'll upload it, they'll apply it, sorry. Whatever they applied, it will display you. If you click on anything, it won't work because there's no functionality in the backend. It just wants to show you some content. That's it. Those are called static content. Let's close it. Yeah, but that's okay. So static content we deploy using Nginx or Apache, something like that. I mean, even API also sometimes. If not Tomcat like this. Database will set up the database. Anything, whatever it is. So why I'm saying this is just to know your application. And this may be linked to our Docker Compose. Let's take this three type scenario for us now. So now my manager came to me and said, hey, we have an application, three tier application, UI, API, database, and everything. I want you to run this application inside containers, including the database. That's what he told. So what I do generally, first I'll set up the database, right? Correct. Maybe Docker run some blah blah whatever it is. Now next, once database is running, I'll set up the API. API is nothing but some code. I mean, Java APIs, Python. These are just some code to do the functionality whatever we are seeing. That's it. Don't take it like a huge thing or something like that. It's pretty very common. Setting up the API means deploying the application. So simple. Again, I created a container for this API. So now DB is done because I created one container for DB and another container for API. And finally, same thing for UI also, Docker I did. I want to tell one more thing. API also they call it a backend, front end backend. Front end is what you are seeing here. Backend is what functionality is happening. That also usually front end and backend I call it. UI or API, anything. UI or GUI, graphical user interface. So just normal thing, not Docker, but yeah. So my manager let I set up this three tier application in Docker. So what you do? You just simply run a container, right? That's what we know so far. All good. So this is correct. I mean, whatever we did is correct. We have a network. So I don't want to create my own network. So I use the default network, bridge network only. I set up these three containers, the Docker and the arguments, the images, whatever we know. You know those commands. It's fine. All good. So they are communicating each other because they are in the same host. So they're fine. All good. No problem. And again, my manager came after 2 days like, hey, we got one more component for the application called cache. Cache store we need to use. We need to implement some caching mechanism for the application. Forget about what is caching mechanism. It will, in a simple word, I will say, instead of going to database, usually backend or API, this one, it will talk to database every time whenever you do something because it has to fetch the result, right? So instead of that, there will be caching mechanism between database. Let me just write it. Between database, there will be caching mechanism, and between the backend, it will cache the common, the frequently used or frequently requested results in cache. So it will load faster. This cache will usually save in memory, so it will load faster. Instead of going to database every time, API, backend just talk to cache. Because let's say I open Google in my laptop. For the first time, it will be usually slow. I mean, normal, general, it will take time. But for second time, it will be faster, right? How? Because it's storing in cache. Similarly, on application also, every time instead of going to database, what are the frequent results or frequent, searches and everything, it will store in cache. So that next time if backend is trying to fetch the same data, it will give it from cache. So it will be faster. So now manager told set up the cache mechanism. There are multiple things. Databases, what MySQL, Mongo, something like that. Caching also, there is something called Redis, Memcache, something. Forget about those things. I'm just saying an example. The manager told, hey, we need cache mechanism. Run a container for this also. Okay. Now cache Docker run again. All good. This is also now again he came like, hey, we need to monitor this tool, right? Set up a monitoring tool. Monitoring, sorry, monitoring logging also. Again, for monitoring means we have to set up some third party tool to in order to monitor these things. Again, same thing for monitoring and logging. Now, run, I mean, we're just creating one more container with those things. See, the count is keep on increasing. I mean, the requirements are keep on increasing. Obviously, the Docker container count will keep on increasing. Just imagine here how many you ran 1 to 3 4 to 6 containers you ran. The two one by one. Even though, of course, we got the requirement little late, but these things are we got it at a time, right? So we have to run Docker run every time whenever there is a requirement. What if I don't like this, right? Obviously, so every time manager comes and hey, there is a new requirement, we have to run Docker command. Why all these things? There, there is an easy way to do this. I don't want to do this. I mean, it's not a good. I mean, it's a good. There's nothing wrong here. Docker run, you can. That's what usually we do. There is nothing wrong, but there is an easy way. That's it for these kind of scenarios. What do you mean these kind of scenarios is if you want to run multiple containers, you can do it at the same time. You can create all of them at the same time instead of this one by one. That's it. Just there is a shortcut. That's it simply. So there is no wrong in whatever the process that we're currently following because in order to set up something, you need to create a container. That's obvious. But obviously, as far as we know, create one by one. There is no other option. But there is a shortcut where we can create all of these containers with a single command. All of these containers with a single command at the same time. That's where Docker Compose comes. There is one. Now you may understand this image. So what is this octopus? Why it is doing this? Imagine that's Docker, and it's holding the containers, right? 4 containers here, yeah. It means it's managing the multiple containers at the same time. So that's what Docker Compose is about. All we have to do is here define what you want, define what containers you want, and let's say I want DB container, backend, UI, I mean front end, caching, monitoring, logging, something. Define whatever how many containers you want, no matter what. It will create everything for you with a single command and everything at the same time. And one more advantage is with Docker Compose. Docker Compose will have its own network. So whatever you created using Docker Compose, everything will be running in the same network. So obviously communication will be there by default. You don't need to set up a network or something like that. It's its own network. So to keep it to keep in a simple terms, Docker Compose is a tool, within Docker obviously, where we can use to run a multi-container setup. We can use to run multiple containers or use to create multiple containers at the same time based on the requirements. How to do it? That's the question now. We know now with Compose we can create multiple containers at the same time with a single command. All good, okay, it's very good. But how to do it? How we have to define all these things, all these whatever the containers we wanted to create in a file and execute the file. That is called, we have to define all these containers in a file and execute the file. That file is called docker compose.yml. Sorry, docker-compose.yml or yml. Anything is fine. YAML format. So let's see how to define. Maybe we'll go one by one. We'll set up the maybe DB first. We'll set up something. Let's see. So how to define? It's very easy. Whatever you write, first just try to compare. Let's say how you create any container. Maybe let's say Docker run. Let's take an example of a Tomcat container. Docker run -d -p 8080 mapping ports -date Tomcat and sorry, and obviously the image finally, right? Sorry, this is how you write a Docker, general Docker command, right? Now, how to write compose file? I mean, inside I told this compose file, but how to write here is in ML format. Obviously, you see in the extension. The same thing we write in ML format. That's it. Let me show you example. First is what is the name of a container you are creating? Tomcat. Let's write Tomcat. The name. So here in the Docker Compose, we don't call them containers. We call them services. That's it. Both are same. Both are absolutely same. Just we call them services. So first thing is you can define any name here, whatever the name you want. Next, image. What is the image you're using? Tomcat 9. So obviously define this image. Tomcat colon 9. Yeah, like this thing. And next thing is what is the port number? Same thing, just P. Oh, sorry. PO or TS. Yes. Port mapping. 8080 colon 8080. That's it. Whatever we ran here, we are defining here. Is there anything extra? Nothing. Let's say you have volume here defined. Let's say maybe -v /opt colon. Well, I mean, I want to mount /opt to /test something. Same thing define here. Come here. Enter volumes. Yes. Enter. Copy paste the same thing. /opt. I want to mount to /test. Anything changed? No. See, whatever we are defining in a Docker Compose file, sorry, in a Docker run command, same thing we're defining in Compose also, but in YAML format. That's it. In only YAML format. So if it is clear, I'll tell you the syntax of ML format. I mean, what are the basics that we should follow? So is it clear? What is this? How to write this? This gaps and all I'll tell you now, but general format. What is this? What is this? What is the option? So is it clear before going forward? Any doubts so far?
Yes.
Hmm? Anything?
Not
Yeah,
no.
let's see. So the basic format of YAML is, let's divide this into smaller parts. So first will be heading, obviously. So we have the heading, right? Heading colon. So there is no commas here. There is no semicolons. Only colon is there. See, colon heading. So here what we're doing, we're creating a Tomcat container. I mean, obviously Tomcat service. Inside that, we're passing what are required for that. So it means this is a heading. These are all the information which is required for that heading, right? So this is heading. These are all required means this should be inside of the heading. That's why the spaces. That's why we kept everything inside the Tomcat because these are the required things for this one. So now for heading, we need some parameter and we need to pass something. So it should be inside it. Either give anywhere it should be. I mean, no need to just keep like this under maybe under Tom, parallel or something like that. Let's say I can start. I can do it like this. Image like this one. Some test. I can do like that. But it's too far. But it's right. So what I'm doing is the first rule I will say heading obviously and whatever information required should be inside the heading. So that's what I told. But how much inside? Either it can be two two times inside or three times inside, four times, five, six, seven, eight. It does not really matter. Any times. But if you give let's say two times inside, for the remaining also you have to follow the same thing. See, that's why I am keeping the same lines. The remaining also you have to follow the same thing. Correct? So and if you observe, I'm using space bar, not tab, because in YAML tab won't work. If you give let's say this will work. But if you give tab, it does not understand that. It will throw you error. So don't use tab, just use spacebar. Subheading. So heading is a Tomcat for us. Subheading is the image, the variable, whatever it is. Of course, you can see here the key value. Obviously, we gave it semicolon differentiation. I mean, we're differentiating with semicolon. Sorry, colon, not semicolon. So you have to use that. Now, next thing is also subheading for Tomcat. Obviously, correct for the heading. Similar way, here what I have to do is where you have started this, the first one. So second one also has to be started from here. Now this is fine. But if you see here, ports, okay, ports is required for Tomcat. Obviously, that's what subheading. But what are required for ports? The port numbers are required to define. This is a value. That's why these values are ports, right? That's why it's inside it. So Tomcat is the main one. Image is required by Tomcat. That's why two spaces we started. Ports also for Tomcat only. That's why two spaces, same thing. And now here 8080 are required by ports. Now from starting from that letter, two spaces we started with. Same way for volumes also. This path is required for volumes. Starting from volumes, two spaces we gave the value inside because this value is for volumes. This value is for ports, not for directly for Tomcat. Of course, it's for Tomcat, but these values will be applied to ports. Ports will apply to Tomcats. So heading, subheading, another subheading inside that. So now like this. So you came here, one, two, some subheading, something, A, something, it's A. So like this you will define. So now if you see heading, obviously, and I gave two spaces, two or three, I mean four, whatever it is, it's fine. But you have to follow the same for everything. So it means I follow this maybe 1, 2 here, same 1, 2 here. Here also 1, 2 I gave, but since this subheading A is belongs to subheading 2, from starting from a subheading 2, I gave two more spaces. It means this is part of this main heading, so I gave 2 as per correct, so I should give 2. And these are inside this, right? Another subheading, so I need to give 2 more. Why only 2? Because you followed here 2 spaces. That's it means you have to give 2 everywhere, even for subheadings, another subheadings inside it. So like this you have to follow the syntax. Everywhere, anywhere, this general syntax it will be like this. Don't use tabs. Indentation should be correct. We call this indentation. Indentation is where you how you started. It should be followed thoroughly. I know this you will follow obviously the subheading, all are subheadings. But if these subheadings have some data inside it, you have to follow them also, starting from the subheading letter, first letter. It's blind. It's remember it blindly. So that's how. See now, similar way we can write one more service. Maybe Nginx I want to write something. We don't. We can write a DB. That's also fine. Maybe MySQL DB. Let's say MySQL. Oh, image. See, two space image. I think image latest. I don't know the version exactly. Blah, blah. Same thing. Ports. I came here two, 1 2. Ports I have to define inside that, right? One more 2 times. 1 2. Obviously hyphen 3306. 3306. Sorry. Volumes. I don't think MySQL required. We don't have anything. So volumes are not required. So maybe one more thing is required. I want to pass environment variable here. So another heading. So go to similar to ports. ENVARONMENT environment. Sorry, keyboard. Environment. Go in. Go until environment. Went inside two more because what I'm up to give the variable belongs to environment, right? Similar thing. MySQL underscore root underscore password. What is the password? Maybe test 1 2 3 something. Just what the hell is that? Oh wait. Yeah. So I define like this. You can define one more service maybe. What is there? Sonar cube you want? Yeah, define it. Sonar 1 2 image sonar cube. That's fine. I mean we don't use it anyway, so that's fine. 1 2 ports. What is the ports? 1 2 again 1 2 inside 9000 colon 9 to just 9000. That's it. Do we need to pass anything for sonar? I guess no. So like this, you can define n number of services. There is no limitation. Now copy all these things. First, I told you right. We have to define all these things in a file called docker compose.yml file. That is the default file name. Docker-compose.yml. Open edit, paste it. We have one more service. I forgot to copy. Where is this? Blah 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 blah. Yeah, Tomcat. Copy this. Simple. Paste it. Yes. Now we define 3 services. I mean, of course, 3 containers. So if I just simply execute, it won't work because okay, you define 3 services, all good. But how the Docker knows whether it's a compose file or not? By file name? Okay, that is one approach. Any other? Okay, fine. It'll read the file name and it will say, okay, it might be Docker compose file. It open the file. In this file, there is nothing. It's just services are there. I mean, your container information is there, but how it knows about the compose file? That's what we have to define a few things. So one is version. Which compose version you want to use? 3. Another thing you have to define is services. So these are all services, right? Correct. Service 1, 2, 3. It means all these things has to be inside these services. This subheading, all this has to be inside this. So here we can't. It's difficult to edit. There is a YAML validator. YAML int. This is a website. Simply paste it. You can go. See, there is wrong. Line number 5. We missed the colon. Let's try again. See, it will automatically format for you. See, it automatically formatted, right? Services, no need to define anything. All we have to do is keep this inside. Sorry. Here it's not working. Sorry. Let's open Notepad++. All time favorite tools. Open this. Paste it. See, very good. Enter. Sorry. And I'm telling you, this also won't work because, of course, we gave correct, right? This ML, starting of the ML file, this is the format. You can use it or you don't need it. That's fine. Version is fine. Services, of course, we have to define the services. Inside it, we have to define whatever services. But still, it won't work, even though all are correct, because I've used the tab instead of spaces. So I want to use 2. So everything has to be go inside 2. You have to do like this only manually, because if you use tab, it won't work. Volume subheading and inside volume, these things. So this is the final file. Let's copy this, open this thing, paste it. This is the file. Of course, you can give a space if you want, just for clarify if it is confusing. Services. Yeah, like this you can give. It's easy to understand. That's it. So is it clear? I mean, it's not like mandatory we have to give MySQL on Tomcat song. Based on my requirement, I just gave. For you, the requirement may be different. That's it. But multiple container setup, this is the way to do it. So now, until now, we have seen how to write a file. What is Docker Compose, what is uses, how to write a compose file, what is the format of YAML and compose file. Now let's install it. First, check the Docker Compose whether it exists or not. Because Docker Compose command, this tool, it's a part of Docker, obviously, but it does not come by default when you install Docker. So when you install Docker, you'll get Docker, right? The tool. But you don't get Docker Compose. So let's see whether it is present or not. Docker Compose not found. See what you do? You can install with apt. Sorry?
Bro, spell check issue. There is a spelling check issue.
Wait.
Docker Compose.
Docker Compose still not found. Okay. See, they gave you a few commands to install Docker. Yeah, we have already Docker now. Docker Compose, it's saying either you can install with this. It's installing, or if you have Python, You can install with Python also. So with this package will be called, sorry, pip is not found. Yeah, that's okay. So you can install with Python also, or you can simply install with apt install docker compose hyphen y. What is this? I gave t, why it is, it's installing. It's installed. Let's see. Docker compose. Yeah, it came something. It's showing something. Forget about all these things. See commands. Some commands it is showing. Docker compose hyphen version 1.29. Now compose is installed. So these are the commands you can use with Docker compose. Let's see those. Don't worry. First thing is check the config, validate and view the compose file. So it will check any syntax errors in our compose file. First do that. So Docker compose commands obviously starts with Docker hyphen compose. It's common. Just like Docker, it's also Docker hyphen compose. And you can use these commands. Config, right? Config. Invalid. There is some issue it seems. Version in Docker compose it should be string. Alright. What does that mean? It should be string is a string always will be inside quotes. So give quotes like this. Now it should work. So it's an integer, right? 3. Integer does not require quotes, but the version it is expecting as a string. So 3 should be inside it. Let's try the config. If it show you no errors in the file, it means it's creating. It's correct, I mean. So it's creating MySQL, Sonar, and Tomcat or something. I mean, this is the format. Let's say I want Tomcat to create first, or Sonar to create first, as an example, or Tomcat to create first, because these other two things are dependent on Tomcat. What to do at the time? Simply just open it. See, because Sonar is dependent on Tomcat, let's say. What to do is simply go to Tomcat, sorry, Sonar, go to this similar way, two spaces until the ports, depends underscore on argument you can use. Depends on what? Two spaces, Tomcat, right? This name you have to give. This name. So you have to give like this. So this is the name you have to give here. Not just simply Tomcat. Random Tomcat I didn't give like that. So I gave based on this name. Let's say this Sonar depends on MySQL also. Go to another line. What is this name? Capital something. My SQL, correct? I think it should be. Yeah. So like this. Now Sonar will be created at last because Sonar is dependent on other two things. So they will create first. Let's see. Docker compose config. See. Depends on again condition. First once they are running, then this will initiate. So like that. Just a small syntax. Now all right, okay, now good. Let's go. All or go to now. Docker hyphen compose hyphen help. Now how to create it? So config is done. Create services. You can do this create. But I don't want to use this. There is something called up. See, create and start containers. That we are going to use. Docker compose up. So what it will do, it will create the containers and start it. Create just creates it. It doesn't start it. Again, we have to do Docker start. Where is it? See, Docker compose start. You know these general commands, but for the first command is up, use up. So up, what happens is it will read the Docker compose file and create and start everything, whatever inside this. Creating network with default repository must be lowercase. Yes, it is throwing an error. Why? Because let me tell you why. Must be lowercase. It's saying. See, what is the lowercase here? The name is always should be lowercase. You cannot use capital letters. MySQL. You got the error? In Notepad, it automatically took the capital letters, but you should not do that. I forgot that, but now it reminded me. And MySQL, I removed the capital letters for service, and I'm changing here because the sonar depends on the service, right? If I didn't change here, let's say, if I didn't change here, it will throw error like, hey, there is no service called MySQL with capital letters because it's changed. So I have to change here wherever using it. That's why MySQL. Yes. Save it. Run it again. Up. Must be lowercase again. What? Which place? Sonar Tomcat. Okay. Where I'm using the. Sorry.
Environment. The
No,
environment
that is
variable
fine.
we have
That should
used
be fine.
capital
No.
letter, right?
That is just passing an env. So where I'm using it? Oh yeah. Oh no. That's fine. That's fine. Services version anywhere? No. Version okay. Services. SCRP, spelling okay. MySQL image. Let's try this. It's creating. Image name should not be capital letters. It won't take it. Have you ever tried, maybe I forgot to say this in the class, but have you ever tried Docker build the image tag with capital letters? Try that. It will throw you error. Image names always should be small letters only. I mean, container name can be capital, that's fine. But image always should be small letters. See, it's downloading the images automatically. It's creating everything, right? I didn't do anything. Of course, it's throwing error because the port number is already in use. See, the address already in use. Simply change it. Maybe 8081 would be fine because 8080 Jenkins is running. That's why. Again, do Docker Compose up. See, but the thing is, it is showing what it is doing. Usually, we have two types, right? IT interactive terminal and D in the background, disaster mode. So by default, when you do Docker Compose up, it will show you everything what it's doing. It means it's running in interactive terminal. I don't want it. I want to run in background -D. How to do it? I mean, it's running. We can't say it. We have to do Control C on manually, so it has to stop. Come on, how much time? Yeah, just -D you can pass. It will run in detached mode. Now, how to check this whether they are running or not? Docker Compose PS. See, they're running. State up. See, these are the ports, right? Port mappings we gave. These are container names it gave by default. The commands it is running. Now, what are some commands? So we seen up, obviously, sorry, up version, that's fine. You can obviously start, stop, what are those? Docker Compose start, Docker Compose stop, Docker Compose restart also, those. PS, you have seen two list containers which are running. EXEC, Docker EXEC command, that. Docker create, it's fine. Now we'll see Docker down, Docker Compose down. So what happens? It will stop the container. See, it's stopping. Let's wait. It's removing the containers. PS, there's nothing. If you observe, while removing some network, it seems. What is this network? I told you, right? when we are creating, let's say, of Python D, it will create a network by default, creating network. For what? For all these services which we defined in the compose. So it means all of them will run in the same network. So they'll communicate together, obviously. See Docker Compose, Docker PS, try. It will show. These are nothing but containers, right? Docker PS. See the three containers are running. Nothing. It will just show you like this. Let's try deleting one container. Maybe Tomcat. It's gone. Only two. Now if you do compose again, up Python D, it just creates the container which is missing. Remaining it's fine. I mean it's already there. Got it? Remaining two are already running. So why to create again? No need, right? Only whatever the missing it's created. That's the thing. That's the advantage. Got it? Here it's showing three because you define three containers in the compose file. If you define 10, it will show you 10. It will create you 10. See, that's easy, right? See, now I just write a compose file and just did docker compose of minus b. That's it. It just created containers along with its own network. If it's easy, right? I mean, compare it to docker run command if you have this kind of scenarios. Correct? Is it clear? Let's delete them. Docker.
Yes. We
Yes,
can
yes, yes,
restart the
yes.
particular
Yeah,
container
yeah.
from this
Docker
compose
compose
file.
restart. If you give like this, it'll restart all three. Try this. Docker compose maybe. These are container names. You can't use this. It won't work. Let's try, but it won't work. Not service. You have to use the service name. What is the service name? Sorry. In the Docker compose file, it's present. These are the service names.
Sonar.
Correct? Uh, Docker service restart. Maybe MySQL. MySQL is my service name. It will restart in the service. See? These are container names which it's showing to you. Docker restart the container, you can do it. But Docker compose, if you want to use Docker compose command restart, you have to use the service name, whatever you defined in the YAML file, compose file. I mean. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes.
You can particularly delete one specific thing also, Docker compose. RM we can able to use. What is the service? MySQL, let's say. No such container. Sorry, you have to use the container name here. Since RM is the Docker compose command, you can delete it. For RM is a Docker command, you can simply use this. What? It's saying no such container. Again, it's saying no. Let's see the command. Blah 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 blah. Kill. Okay, kill. You can use it. You can try these commands. I'm not saying everything. So you have to try it. Remove stopped containers. Okay, RM minus C of I have to use that. That's okay. Try these commands. But for now, if I do Docker compose down, all will go obviously. Let's create again. See, it's creating its own network. See, Docker compose looking for PS. It's running now. If I want to delete, can I try this down command with my service? It won't accept. See, if it is down, it won't accept. It has to down. It has to go down everything, not just single service. That's why it won't work like that. So down means it should go everything. If you want to delete, you can delete as a container Docker RM minus stuff. You can do that. Docker compose RM also you can do to do. MySQL. No stopped containers. You can delete only the stopped containers. See like this. You have to stop first, Docker compose stop and Docker compose RM to delete that specific container. I mean that's a service, let's say, as an example. Both are same. Got it? Let's complete it down everything. Let's wait. It's done. There should be nothing. Yeah, obviously. Now let's say I have a Docker Compose file, right? Let me change the name. Mm, Test.ml. Now let's try up the Docker Compose command. See, it can't find. It's expecting the file names by default. These things, these four files. If the file name any of these, it will read it automatically and it will do it. But the file name is test.yml. What? How it will read it? Doesn't know that. So that the test.yml can be anything, right? It's not Docker. It does not be a Docker Compose file, so it doesn't know. So you can use any name for this. Where is this test.yml? All you have to do is pass this name to the compose command. How? Docker compose -f test.yml up whatever the command. See, it's creating that. Got it? Docker, sorry, compose ps. See, it will show nothing. For every command you have to pass. For every command -f, the file name you have to pass. Then only it will read the file. It will show you the services whether it's created, running or not. Even for down also same thing. Let's say if you simply use down, nothing. You have to pass. Let's try. It won't work. See, because it will take this as a command. That's why I'm telling you. After Docker Compose itself, you have to pass the file, and after that, pass any command. Now it's deleting. See, it will delete. Obviously, you know that. Done. So if you have a different file name, you have to use like this. So yeah, is it clear? That's about Docker Compose. I'll share the file if you want in the chat. You can, I mean, just for reference, if you want, you can practice. I mean, you'll find lots of examples. So then don't worry about all those things. It's not just a single example we got in the world. You'll get so many things. Just sending you for reference. That's it. So yeah, any doubts so far today's class? That's about Docker Compose. So any doubts? See, remember again, whatever we are doing with the Docker run command, same thing we are doing with Docker Compose, but just in a ML format. That's it. In a little different format. In ML format, following some syntax. That's it. No extra things. That's why write a command first like this and try to convert that into ML file. So it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, I have written this Docker file, Docker run like this, and compose should be like this. So it will be easy to understand. That's why. You got it? So try to do like that. You'll understand. So hope it's clear. Any doubts so far? Anything? Yeah, okay. Do
No.
practice and you'll get doubts. Maybe. Yeah, ask them. So yeah, that's it for today's class. Tomorrow maybe last topic in Docker, I guess. So it will take maybe 1 or 2 days. So what is today? Wednesday, right? Yeah. Maybe Thursday, Friday, or Thursday itself. So yeah, do practice it. Let's meet tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock. Bye. Bye all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.